the country is having economic or political problems, should the U.S. allow its citizens to come here for a better life? Well, I don't really know the answer to that. I feel like it's a really complex issue, and I'm just starting to scratch the surface of it through Tortilla Curtain and that documentary we watched in class. However, through these interviews I'm conducting, I hope to see a more wide range of perspectives on this issue. However, right now I think that it probably is not the best idea to allow too many people into our country, even if they are facing political or economic issues, because we have a limited number of resources. We have a lot of inter-country problems right now, and if we allow more people to come into their country, that'll just grow the problems even more. However, I do feel that if a country was in a state of war, discrepancy within it, then we should allow refugees from that country to seek asylum here in the U.S. However, it would not be common, considering most refugees find refuge in countries neighboring them. But no, if they are facing economic or political issues, which is a very different matter, then they should be on a waiting list and should be allowed into the U.S. when it's the right time, when we have enough resources and jobs for those people.
Yeah, I do think that they should let them come to our country. However, I feel like it should be under circumstances where it's legal instead of illegal, and that we should have an easier path to citizenship so that this becomes more readily available to immigrants that need to flee their own country.
I believe that America should provide asylum for immigrants from different countries because it betters the individual and it helps the American economy grow.
Mr. Lacey, I'm a social studies teacher here at East High School, and I do think that the United States should absorb people who are having political or economic difficulties in their own country. However, I do understand that it's not that easy. There needs to be processes and procedures in place to limit it, because if we just let anybody in, there would be all kinds of domestic and foreign issues that we would have to deal with. So ultimately, because our country is based on it, anybody should be able to come in, but there does have to be some sort of procedure, in my opinion.
So I think ideally it would be wonderful if people who are living in countries that were having economic or political problems were allowed to come and live in America. I think that would be a nice thing to do, and it makes us good people. But I also think that it's kind of a complicated problem because there's a financial impact and there's an economic impact and some other things that I think makes it much more complicated. Like who's going to take care of them and where are they going to live? And I think a lot of times people come to the U.S. expecting that they're going to have this amazing, wonderful life, and it turns out to not be that way. And that's definitely a problem that needs to be addressed, and I'm not sure what the solution to that is. But I don't think it's a yes or no problem.
All right, thank you.
Well, I'm very sympathetic to the plights of others where they're facing political and economic difficulties, and I do believe we should look at our immigration policies very carefully and revise them. However, I don't think the United States can be the new home for hundreds and thousands and millions of people to seek asylum, and we simply do not have the resources or the infrastructure to take that on. And while the U.S. should always be a leader in human rights, we cannot solve all the world's problems.
I think this is a complex question with many complex answers depending on where you sit in the socioeconomic environment. I I guess my short answer is you should allow people to come into the country for political reasons and to seek the American dream, because that is what our country was founded on. And honestly, I think that's how my family came into this country at one point in time, is to search for a better life. That's the history and roots of my own family. Yet in today's society, I think it's pretty challenging because there's so many struggles of the existing citizens in this country to find quality jobs, jobs that pay more than minimum wage. So I just think it's a really hard question to answer, but the soul of me says yes, allow people in, and let's do what we can to support each other and lift each other up to get the American dream.
When I was first asked if the U.S. should allow citizens from a country facing political or economic issues into the country, I didn't have an answer. I knew that it was a very complicated issue. There's so many problems in our country alone. There's a high poverty rate, there aren't enough jobs, there's many homeless people, people are struggling to get food, we have low education rates. And I didn't know if we should allow more people to come in and just increase that pool of struggles in our country. However, after reading the novel and watching the documentary in class and conducting these interviews, I now see two sides to this question. One side says no, and that is because of the issues within our country and the fact that we have limited resources and there isn't enough room, and that we should support the current citizens in our country rather than citizens from another country. But there's another side to this question, and that is yes, we should allow people into this country. Our country was founded on the principles that to make something of yourself and to get a better life here in the U.S. And I feel like it would be really hypocritical to not allow people facing these issues into the country. Yet, there's this middle ground too, because if you let so many people in, the citizens currently in the country will suffer. And if you don't let anyone in, the people that really need to come into the country to better themselves and to get out of these struggles and make something of themselves or strive for that American dream, those people will suffer. So I feel like it's a very gray area, and I still don't have a clear answer. And I feel like there will never be a clear answer for anyone because it is such a complex issue. However, I do see across the board now, and I know that there's never really going to be a solution to this issue because people are always going to want to get into the country. People are always going to want to have a better life, whether they're in this country or not in this country. And yeah, this project really helped me open my eyes to see that.